Good afternoon. Welcome to a special video update on the pending coastal storm that will be impacting the region. Really, it's starting already, continuing on through tomorrow, Monday, and finally leaving us on Tuesday morning. A long duration rainfall and wind event. Well, look, there's a really good way to tell if a major storm is coming. And that is if your neighborhood meteorologist is starting to bring in all the Halloween stuff from all over the place and bring it back inside. That's usually a good sign that this is going to be a real deal. This is going to be a major wind event and it's going to bring a lot of rain. But the primary concern here, in my opinion, is going to be the wind and the coastal flooding. So let's take a look at where we are right now. Model guidance has been all over the place. And the reason why is because it's been struggling with the interaction with all these short waves. Now, currently on the radar, there is our storm into the subtropical jet stream. Pretty impressive storm at that. It has a nice 1001 millibar low pressure system, a little bit stronger than what was expected. Nice trough here right up the coast. And then here is our polar shortwave that is represented at the surface with a nice area of showers and some heavier downpours around the eastern Great Lakes. So you could already start to see the onshore flow, and that has produced some showers along the Jersey Shore, producing some heavier rainfall around mid-morning around Freehold, and that's pushing over into the interior, producing some showers capable of some heavier downpours as well. But the main event is down here around the Carolinas, just kind of festering and getting ready to get pulled northward by this disturbance. So let's take a look at the water vapor satellite picture, as this really tells the whole story here. The model guidance, and the reason why it's been all over the place, is because it's having a hard time dealing with this little bugger right here. This polar shortwave has been depicted in various ways, and thus you've had various solutions. But we here, and you who've been paying attention to me, have known that we have a consistent theme here. And so if we understand what the theme is, we don't have to jump around with the model guide. So this is why you haven't seen too much of a change in the forecast. We've made some slight adjustments with the timing, but the overall themes have remained the same. We haven't dropped or risen our rainfall amounts all that much. Interior, I made a slight change to drop it into a half an inch to an inch and a half. But other than that, we've been pretty consistent. Why? Because the driver of the storm, the evolution of the storm, is dependent on this feature right here and how it interacts with this storm down here. And what did we do for a basis here? If it went through Michigan, then this storm would be an all-day event starting Saturday night, continuing all the way through Tuesday. If it went through Lake Ontario and towards northern New York, it would be pretty much almost a miss with a few showers and nothing much but that. But it has gone in between those. So it's gone towards Lake Erie and southern Lake Ontario, basically heading towards Buffalo and Rochester. And it's just fast enough to start to interact with this storm. Not strong enough to keep it locked in through Tuesday. Why? Because the orientation of this trough and this feature diving in is not strong enough to counteract this deep trough out here. In fact, we'll take a look at the upper level winds. You can see this whole thing play out really nicely. This is at 250 millibars. This trough right here is going to kick everything east, but not fast enough to prevent a pretty impressive storm to develop on the East Coast. So this drops in just enough to interact with this feature, and you can already start to see them interacting and playing together already. You can see the enhancement of the jet streak here, very impressive divergence and diffluence, setting up right around the mid-Atlantic coast here. You can see this shortwave out here is already starting to go into a slight negative tilt under the influence of this feature diving in. So it's all about physics and everything interacting. So everything's coming together to set up this storm. Now it's just a matter of understanding what type of evolution you're dealing with. And that is where we get to the current observations. And we go back to the radar. And we know, based on everything we're seeing here, and also if you want to take a look at the infrared satellite picture, the lifting is going to be close enough to the coast to produce a pretty impressive rainfall event for the immediate coast. We know that the low pressure system is already down to 1001 millibars, is going to be interacting with all this divergence and diffluence. It might actually pick up a slight warm core, not tropical, but most likely some sort of warm seclusion. What that basically means for you is that it enhances the winds at the surface. It creates more mixing. So that whole process is already starting to get organized. And you can see based on this setup right here, you see this observation right here, this should be a warning sign that anything that kicks the rainfall out fast, or should I say kicks the rainfall out completely, let's say for Sunday, for tomorrow, is to be thrown out. So the European guidance is struggling right now because it's having a hard time dealing with all these moving features. And really, the GFS is having a rough time too. The model guidance, I know, I don't normally say this, but the model guidance that is closest to reality and closest to my thinking is actually the NAM model guidance. And that is a rarity. You should bookmark this because I rarely use the NAM for any type of forecast justification. It's not really forecast justification. What it really is saying, the NAM is the closest to the actual reality of where we are right now. And so all I'm doing is taking it out 48 hours, which is kind of the heart of the model guidance. That's where it's really capable of really displaying what is evolving here. And also it handles some of the mesoscale factors pretty nicely. So that is the model I'm going to show you. But understand the basis of this forecast is not about any one model. It's about what I am seeing here. And what I'm seeing here is this feature starting to interact with this feature. You can start to see a negative tilt take shape here. Look at this sinking air here. If you have strong sinking air here, you have very strong rising air here. And this is all going to get forced north because this feature that's slowing down is getting pulled in. So you're going to get a complete phase, and you could already see that taking shape right as we speak, right now. There. So you don't really need model guidance, but I'm using it in a way to show you what I think is going to happen. So let's take a look at the NAM. I'm just going to kind of show you, again, there it does a great job depicting the showers. Overnight tonight, we'll still have a few scattered showers hanging around. There's the main rainfall coming in tomorrow, scattered at first, becoming increasingly more coverage and steadier rainfall by noon. That steady rainfall takes over the entire region. The winds increase along the coast. You're looking at 15 to 30 miles per hour. Again, why did I bring all my stuff in for Halloween? Because I don't want it flying down the road, although the ghosts would probably look pretty spooky, but I really don't want to have that happen. So this rainfall just continues, and again, it continues in waves, just waves of rainfall coming in. So you'll have heavy rainfall, then drizzle, then heavy rainfall and drizzle coming in, rotating in from the Atlantic until the storm becomes vertically stacked, which then at that point, as a cold core low, you might know, it weakens. And so you end up by Monday night to Tuesday, more widely scattered showers, and the winds start to wind down. Here's a depiction of the surface winds, again, for today. A little breezy, but not too bad. Overnight tonight, not too bad. You can see the wind starting to increase, getting itself organized here as the low pressure system intensifies. And we have that pressure gradient with the high to the north. And there's your winds along the coast, 15 to 30 miles per hour with higher gusts slamming into the coast. Again, with the winds over the coastal waters, less friction means that the winds can get stronger. That's why you're seeing this out here. But again, this is going to set up pretty impressive coastal flooding on the North Shore, Long Island, on the Jersey Shore. I think it's going to push the water away from Connecticut and from the Hudson Sound, but the battery is going to be running into those issues with that strong wind just driving in and just reaching an apex in strength overnight on Sunday into Monday morning. So it's going to be very windy. I'm expecting power outages. I'm expecting some wind damage. I would not be surprised if we see some downed trees, especially any trees that might be dying with the heavy rainfall. So it is going to be pretty nasty. And then everything starts to back off on Monday afternoon or Monday evening. The wind subside because the storm becomes vertically stacked. So again, the forecast, I updated at 8 a.m. just to make some slight adjustments, and pretty much this is locked in. In zone 3, that's the interior. Waves of showers, some heavier downpours continue this evening through tomorrow morning. I will make adjustments to the maps just on the timing factors and in terms of, tomorrow I don't want to have this evening. I want to just put today, right? So that's what I mean by that. Or this morning. So overall, this forecast itself is pretty locked in. So over zone 3, I'm expecting a half inch to an inch and a half of rain from today through Tuesday. Again, with the heaviest rainfall potential coming in tomorrow night through Monday afternoon. In zone 2, this is where I'm expecting 1 to 2 inches of rain with winds from the northeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting up to 40 miles per hour. Zone 1 is where we're expecting the worst impacts. This is where I'm expecting the concern for major coastal flooding, winds 15 to 30 miles per hour, gusts over 40 miles per hour, which means that they could get as high as 60, 70 miles per hour for a very short time in a few isolated locations on the immediate coast here with this storm, with coastal flooding 2 to feet above normal tides. So again, we're looking at some major coastal flooding in this setup and around 2 to 4 inches of rain, which will produce some pretty significant urban flooding and some small stream flooding. The good news is that a lot of the rivers are low to near normal because it's been so dry. So this won't cause major river flooding, but it will certainly help in helping out our our water table a bit. So that's certainly some good news. So that's where we are right now. That is the going forecast, and that is the latest. I'll have more updates tomorrow. In the meantime, stay safe out there.